Bombergers 2025 has made its way to my dear home state of Washington, and I picked up one. Shenk did as well, but I've tended to be a preferential Bombergers drinker in the past, and really only because of a number of other releases that have come out. I could only pick one, so I went with the one that I usually find the most enjoyable for me, the Bombergers. As is usual with Bombergers Declaration, it comes in at 108 proof and was aged in Chinkapin oak barrels. So not your usual standard American white oak, but another type of oak that is native to the United States. I have found in the past that this gives a kind of a lovely fruit profile. So let's see how the 2025 stacks up this year and whether or not you should try to hunt this down at its MSRP of $135. It's getting kind of expensive to buy Bombergers and Shenks these days. I will say that, and I really wish that Michters would chill out. Because these are starting to get to a point of where they're questionable as a purchase based on price alone if you haven't had it and haven't justified that it's like, this is the one you want. So, 2 Minute Tuesday, let's get into Bombergers 2025. Cork pop? Not bad. Let's get into the tasting notes on the Bombergers 2025. As always, we start with color. Great color as always. Let's talk viscosity. We've got some great little legs forming over here. Looks like it's got some pretty good oiliness at that 108 proof. Let's get into the nose. These are the things I love about Bombergers. The immediate and dominant portion of the nose, and it's really traditional for me out of Bombergers, is this wonderful, blackberry jam. But there's a little extra in there, kind of like a Concord grape. If you've ever had Concord grape juice, I can smell that in the nose, and that medley smells pretty amazing. Now underneath that, there's this nice kind of oak influence, a little bit of kind of brown sugar and caramel notes, but overall this is a pretty fruit forward and sweet nose. So let's get into the palate and see how that transfers over. It has this beautiful, and I said it in the nose, but like a blackberry jam, sweet, fruity note, and I love how it comes forward. That little touch of kind of Concord grape juice I got on the nose, not really present on the palate, which is interesting. Underneath that is this lovely oak influence. Michter's is mastered oak influence. Touch of barrel spice, and I would say this is more toward your baking spices as opposed to a peppery note. But once you get through that sweetness just lingers the whole way through. And it's kind of like sweetness on sweetness. You've got that blackberry jam with a little kind of underlying caramel. Gets towards your mid palate. You still got a little bit of that, but now the dominant thing starts to become a little bit more of that oak influence with a little hint of vanilla and just a tiny touch of toasted chestnut. And then from there, that sweetness keeps carrying through, but that's where the barrel spice comes in. You get that kind of baking spice. It's great. It's lingering really well. It's got a nice viscosity to it. Let's get into an overall score for the 2025 edition Bombergers. I love this stuff, and I have a lot of bias toward it, but I can fully understand that it is not the monster that PFG or some of the other things that we've had earlier this year are. So in that regard, I'm giving this a 79. It's extremely good, especially if you like fruitier whiskey and you want something that's much more sweet in your face. You want a bit less of the savory profile. This is a great, sweet forward, fruity whiskey. I just love Bomberger's flavor profile a lot, and that Chinkapin oak is one of the things that makes it special and different than a lot of our standard bourbons, and it's probably why it's one of the ones that I pick up every year when I can. Now, if you want something a bit more savory, you probably want to look more toward the Shenks, and it is slightly lower proof, but it tends to have a bit more savory profile. However, for me, I love fruity and sweet forward whiskey, and so for me, this hits my palate just right, and I will almost always reach for a Bomberger's before I ever reach for a Shenks. That's personal palate. You guys might be different, and I've heard that this year's Shenks is technically the better of the two, but for me, this bad boy is hitting my palate just right, to where I feel like the asking price, despite the fact that it's climbed up a little bit over the last few years, is still okay for what I'm getting. Especially because I'm not going to go pounding through this really fast. I'm going to drink this maybe once a month, and it's going to take a long time to get through this bottle. Should you hunt down the Bombergers, or without ever tasting it, should you hunt down the Shenks? I think that depends on whether you want the fruit forward, sweeter whiskey, or whether you want a more savory whiskey. If you are like me, and you like that sweet forward, especially fruit flavors, the blackberry jam thing that comes off of this, no one else does it the way that the Bombergers does, in the intensity and literally jamminess that this flavor profile has. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I always chase these things down and get myself at least one every year, because I just love that profile. But if you prefer a much more savory pour and you don't really like a lot of fruit in your whiskey, you want those more leathery or tobacco-y, oaky notes, you probably want to look more toward the Shenks which is a sour mash and not a bourbon, but still, it's quite good whiskey. Is this worth its MSRP? Yes, to me. For a lot of people out there, though, they might be like, come on, man, $135 before tax for whiskey? That's a little much. And I get it. I too am in the boat that thinks that a lot of our LEs and allocated products are just climbing in price too much, especially given the way that the industry is right now. And if you are looking at paying that price and you could get, say, like a 2023 Bombergers, I would buy the 2023, not the 2024. I would get either 23, 25, or you need to go back all the way to like 2016 to get the really, really good ones. But that's my personal opinion. Is this better than picking up, say, Penelope Omega, which is about the same price, or looking into something like, say, if you could find, like, say, Maker's Mark Cellar Aged, because the MSRP is pretty close on the Cellar Age for 2025. It's such a personal opinion. I think if you prefer, again, that more savory profile, the Penelope Omega. If you're a big Michter's fan, or maybe you like that really fruity type profile, I would actually look at the Bombergers. If you like Maker's 2025 Cellar Age is supposedly the best ones come out. I've had 23 and 24. I like them both, but it's not been enough wow factor, if you will, for me to want to chase the 2025, because I still have a bottle of 24 lying around and I just finished my 23. So there's my thoughts. What about you? Have you tried any of the previous Bombergers, or have you tried this year's Bombergers or Shenks? I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What's your opinion? Do you like one over the other? Are you like me? Do you like that big blackberry jam sweet profile? Or are you more like, nah, I'm not into that super fruity nonsense, Bentley. I prefer that Shenks. I want to hear from you in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. At 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away a bottle of E.H. Taylor single barrel, probably a few other things. And also that whole thing, like, comment, subscribe, those 3 things are the best things to tell old Papa YouTube, hey, I really like what this person is doing. Someone else will too. It helps our channels grow, helps us prevent that dreaded sponsorship monster, so I'm not trying to shill beds or cereal or other weird stuff down your throat, and instead, it can just be about the whiskey. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome.